could go on forever about the glories of golf in Ireland. It's such an amazing place to play the ancient game of golf. There's so many courses along the coastline that are thrilling and wonderful and a joy to play. And that's mostly because the whole circumference of Ireland is ideal for building world-class links golf courses. The land is often wild and woolly and turbulent with towering sand dunes. And as we know from Scotland and its history of courses, these are the perfect ingredients for wonderful places to play the ancient game of the Scottish Shepherds. And most anywhere you go along the coastline of Ireland, you're not far from a world-class golf course. Up in the northeast corner, you have Royal County Down in Northern Ireland, which is often ranked #1 in the world. You move south to Arglass and Beltray. You get down to the Dublin area with Portmarnock, the Island Golf Club, the European Club. You go to southwest Ireland with Oldhead, Waterville, Dukes, Tralee. You move up to Ballybunion, Lahinch, Connemara. You go farther north to Enniscrone and glorious Carn and wonderful Merva in Donegal. And then you go farther north, you have Nairn and Portneuf, Rosapenna, Ballyliffin. And then you get to County Antrim in Northern Ireland with perhaps the most wonderful vortex of golf in the entire Emerald Isle. You have Royal Portrush, which hosted the British Open last year. You have Port Stewart with perhaps the greatest opening tee shot in the game. And Castle Rock, a course you would play every day for the rest of your life. The courses in and around Portrush are an absolute must visit. And what's so cool about these three courses is how close they are to each other. By the way, they're all in and around Portrush, which is a charming seaside holiday town on the North Atlantic with some pretty cool sights. Just north of town, they have Dunluce Castle, which was where they filmed Game of Thrones. That was the Greyjoy Castle. And then just up the coast from there is the Giant's Causeway, which is this wondrous natural phenomenon, which we'll talk about in a bit. But the three courses, Royal Portrush, just north of town, Port Stewart, just west of downtown Portrush, and then Castle Rock is just a little farther to the west. And you could see how if you play golf on these welcoming golf courses, which by the way are open to guests and you can go play them, you would become a pretty good golfer. The area produced Darren Clarke, who's a member at Royal Portrush, who won the British Open, Graham McDowell, US Open winner, and Rory McIlroy, wondrous Rory McIlroy, who played these courses in his formative years many, many times. You can't go into a clubhouse in Northern Ireland without seeing a framed scorecard of some amazing round of golf Rory had as a teenager. As a matter of fact, at Royal Portrush, he shot 61 when he was 16 years old to shoot the course record. They say the mark of a great golf course can be defined by one simple question. Would you cross an ocean to play it? And you would definitely cross the ocean to play Royal Portrush, especially the Dunluce Links, which is the championship 18 there. They have another 18 called the Valley Links, which is well worth playing. But Dunluce is all the golf you'll ever want. It's big, robust, meaty. And the basic routing that we have today was designed in 1929 by Harry Colt, the British golf course architect, who, by the way, was the first golf course architect who was not also a golf professional. And his routing stood the test of time. Although, for the 2019 British Open, the club added 2 new holes. Number 7, which is a wonderful par 5, and number 8, a real robust par 4. And they replaced the old 17th and 18th holes, which were on fairly flat land and nondescript. So a great golf course got even greater. And it's just a fantastic place to play. And by the way, it was so wonderful that Shane Lowry won the Open Championship there, an Irishman. So a total celebration of the glories of golf in Ireland. And with the addition of the new 7th and 8th holes at Royal Portrush, every hole is like a strong 3-act play. You gotta have a good beginning, middle, and end if you're gonna have any chance at par on any of these holes. There's no easy pars on Royal Portrush. And 2 of the holes are known amongst the greatest in the world. First off, the par 4 fifth is just magnificent. It's a severe dogleg right. The green sits right against the cliffs overlooking the Atlantic. There's a big dune kind of where you want to aim at, and if you play left of it for the safer route, or you go over it to try to get closer to the green like the professionals do. It's all the golf you want. And by the way, when you're on the tee box of the 5th, it's one of the great vistas in the game. It's the highest point of the course, and you look out and you can see all the turbulent splendor of Royal Portrush. You can see the valley links behind that. You look down all the way to the town of Portrush to the south, and you can see where Port Stewart and Castle Rock are. It's one of the great vistas, and of course you have the Atlantic. I love seaside golf. This is one of the greatest seaside holes in the world. And the most famous hole on Royal Portrush is now the 16th hole. It used to be the 14th hole, but with the addition of the 2 new holes, it's now the 16th hole, and it's called Calamity, and it has a lot of calamity on this hole. It's only a par 3, it plays about 211 yards to an uphill green that sits perched into a giant sand dune. It's also one of the windiest spots on the course, so it's all the golf you ever want. Every time I play it, I always feel like I'm trying to hit to the top of Everest, even though it only raises up about 75 feet or so. It's daunting and it's fun, and I've really never played it well, but I'll be back and I'll give it another shot. It's so much fun. And just across the way from Royal Portrush is Port Stewart Golf Club, a place I adore. They have 3 18-hole courses there, a big giant clubhouse that's like a thriving community center, families and kids and golfers and visitors, and it's just a beehive of activity. And you can see how closely woven golf is into the community there in Port Stewart. But it's the Strand course is the one you want to play. That's the Championship 18. They held the 2017 Irish Open. And most notably, Port Stewart is known as having the greatest opening tee shot in the game, along with Machrihanish on the Mole of Kintyre in Scotland. But the first tee shot of Port Stewart is fabulous. You're on the highest ground, just to the right of the clubhouse, and you look to your right and there's the North Atlantic with whitecaps coming in towards this golden, idyllic beach. Then you look straight ahead, and off in the distance are these huge sand dunes you're going to be playing through. And the first hole is a par 4, dogleg right. There's no bunkers. There's just some sand hills and swales and hollows and rough on the right, rough on the left. And you just want to tee it high and let it fly. And your ball seems to hang in the air forever. And hopefully you hit the promised land in the fairway and you're off. The front 9 of Port Stewart is marvelous. You're playing through these dunes that are 50, 60 feet high. And the fairways kind of snake through the dunes, and then the greens are like perched into the side of the hills. And the first time you see it, when you see the green, you go, oh my God, I can't believe how cool that is. And I can't recommend Port Stewart highly enough. And completing the trifecta of great golf in and around Portrush is Castle Rock Golf Club, which is just a bit to the west from Port Stewart. And it's an absolute gem. It's not as dramatic as Port Stewart or Royal Portrush, but it's one of those kind of courses you'd play every day for the rest of your life. It became 18 holes in 1908 and was developed by Ben Sayers, who was from North Berwick in Scotland, one of my favorite courses in the world. And Ben was a famous golfer, one of the best golfers of his time, famous club maker. But before he became a golf professional, he was an acrobat. He was 5'3", and they say that when Ben would make a great putt on a green, some tricky putt, he would throw his putter down and go into a series of cartwheels and handstands, which I think is fantastic. Wouldn't you love to see Tiger Woods win the Masters with some kind of incredible putt on the 18th green? And he throws down his putter and starts doing cartwheels and handstands, and then sticks the finish with, hey! So those are the 3 incredible golf courses in and around Portrush. Royal Portrush, Port Stewart, and Castle Rock. All 3 clubs have nice websites, contact numbers on their websites. You can book times, go enjoy. And by the way, if you go to the Portrush area, make sure to check out Dunluce Castle, which is just north of Royal Portrush. Again, they filmed Game of Thrones there. And also just a little bit farther up is the Giant's Causeway, which is one of the wonders of the world. It's a 40,000 basalt columns which are formed through volcanic activity. And they're pillars or steps, and it looks like the giants could just take the steps down and just walk across the water and go over to Scotland. And that's why it's called the Giant's Causeway. Irish mythology says that they were built by Finn McCool. By the way, if you're a god, I think having a name Finn McCool puts you at the top of the list. So anyway, go to Portrush, play these incredible golf courses. See you next time on Half Clubs Will Travel. Take care.